Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just instructed the Mossad, Israel's top covert intelligence agency, to locate countries that may be willing to take in large numbers of displaced Palestinians from Gaza. This isn't a diplomatic effort. This is a behind-the-scenes, high-level style of operation. So why Mossad? Why now? And what does this mean for Israel, the Mideast, and the war against Hamas? Gonna break it down. So here's what we know. According to multiple reports, including Axios, Reuters, Netanyahu has directed the Mossad to explore which countries, particularly in Africa and Southeast Asia, might be open to receiving Palestinians voluntarily displaced by the ongoing war in Gaza. They're talking about countries like Somalia, South Sudan, Indonesia. They've all reportedly been contacted. There's no formal agreements yet. There's no big announcements, but the talks are happening in the shadows. And the scope, we could be talking about hundreds of thousands of people. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about deportation. Israel is officially calling it willful departure. And a new department inside the Ministry of Defense has been set up and stood up to help manage this. But make no mistake, this has Mossad fingerprints all over it. And so why Mossad? Why not Israel's foreign ministry? Simple. This is too sensitive for diplomacy. And people don't want press releases and red carpets with this one, even though they put it out. They want private jets, secret meetings, quiet briefcases. And when you send in Mossad, you're also sending a message. This isn't smiles and handshakes here. It's about cold, hard geopolitical strategy. Mossad's gotten very good at it. And these countries that are being approached don't just get asked out of humanitarian concern. They're also going to get offered things. Intelligence cooperations, potential arm deals, infrastructure investments, cyber tools. And in that world, it's all quid pro quo. Nobody understands that leverage better than Mossad. You take refugees, we give you something back. That's how the game is played, and that's why Barnea and Mossad are handling this. The Israeli government doesn't believe Hamas can be permanently defeated if the civilian population remains static. Hamas is among those people and uses them as shields, as we know. So removing even part of that population willfully could strip Hamas of a giant chunk of that cover they're using to keep the Palestinian people as human shields. So I want to talk about the international response here. Not everybody sees it this way. What I mean by that is the UN Rights Office just accused Israel of violating international law, saying that these evacuations, even though they're voluntary, don't meet the standards of humanitarian protection. Some are going to call it ethnic cleansing. We've heard all these garbage tropes. And it's a strategic displacement during war. We're used to it. But let me ask you this. If you're running a war against a terrorist group that embeds itself under hospitals, inside schools, and next to kindergartens, do you let civilians stay in the crossfire just to avoid bad press? Or do you move them out quickly and take the hit politically? We're used to the hits. We're used to all the political garbage in Israel. We've seen these patterns before. We saw them in Kosovo, Syria, and even back in Rwanda. And war breaks rules. It's important to remember that. But sometimes you have to break patterns to help save lives. Now, I want to dip into that moral and strategic crossroad a little bit more. So, Aaron, where does all this go? Let's talk about who might actually say yes to Mossad. This episode of the Aaron Cohen Show is brought to you by Merkava Coffee. This is the official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. And when I served in the IDF, coffee wasn't just coffee, it was fuel. And in the special operations world, there were nights with no sleep, missions that stretched for days, and no room for mistakes. Coffee was serious, and it kept us sharp, locked in, and ready to move. And let me tell you something, I still take it seriously. And that's why Merkava Coffee, strong, no nonsense, battle tested, no fluff, no gimmicks, just good, bold coffee for the people who need to be at their best. And if you start your day like I do, like it's a mission, you know why this matters. Hit the link down in the description and grab yourself a triple order and help keep the lights on and support the Aaron Cohen Show. Appreciate you guys. While dozens of countries could theoretically take displaced Palestinians from Gaza, none want to be seen as complicit in the permanent removal of the Palestinians from their supposed homeland, even if it's framed as voluntary departure. And that's the political tricky landmine here. And this is why, in my opinion, Prime Minister Bibi didn't send diplomats. He sent Mossad, because this effort requires secrecy, high-level incentives, and covert assurances. And it's not about good PR. It's about geopolitical chess. And African nations like South Sudan, Rwanda, and Uganda are probably the most practical candidates. And they've worked with Israel before, and they need that outside investment, that tech, that military support. And the Gulf states, they have money and infrastructure, but politically, it's just a little too radioactive, in my opinion. And even Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and Malaysia, those are good countries, have cultural alignment, but they support the cause symbolically, and hosting refugees at this point, it's not going to happen. So in my opinion, Mossad is threading a different type of needle here. And it's more like quietly offering investment, defense help, cyber tools in exchange for quiet cooperation. So this isn't really just relocation. It's wartime logistics wrapped in what I call intelligence diplomacy. So I want to close it with this. We're always very real here on this show. We say it like it is. We cut through that noise. That's the mission of the show. And the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is real because Hamas has been stealing that aid. And the suffering is real because of Hamas. But the war and the suffering is real. But so is the war. And Hamas has built their entire empire on the backs of civilians. And Israel is now trying to strip them of that cover strategically, surgically, and yes, controversially. But we don't have the luxury of not being controversial. While the international community shouts and condemns, Mossad is out there doing what no one else will. Osim dilim, cutting deals. Zazim, chelakim, moving pieces and trying to shift the board. So I want to leave you with a couple questions from my Cohen commandos. What would you do if your enemy lived under a hospital and fired rockets from a schoolyard? And Israel's always been surgical about those strikes. And if Gazans themselves are protecting Hamas, then they don't deserve a chance for freedom somewhere safe. Agree or not? This is part of a war that nobody wants to talk about, but on this show we do. Do me a favor, subscribe, share, support the show. Links are below. And until next time, I'm going to come back to this. This one's going to continue to permeate. I'm going to come back to this relocation operation and what this is going to start to turn into and how it's going to unfold. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. As always, grab yourself a bag of Merkava coffee down at the link below. The official coffee of the Aaron Cohen Show. If you guys start your day like I do, like it's a mission, grab yourself a 3-pack, every bag sold. Helps keep the lights on. Or if you're not a coffee drinker, hit the link in the description and join my Season 1 sponsorship team. Grab yourself a mini sponsorship package. They start at $25. Helps keep the lights on in the studio. We're completely independently produced. And every support package sold helps me to continue to combat that anti-Israel misinformation and propaganda that's out there while bringing you guys no-nonsense analysis of the Middle East, counterterrorism, and national security right here at home. Hit the link in the description. Grab yourself some coffee or join my sponsorship team or do both. Appreciate you guys. Also, just launched Kill Shot, my new pod sub-series where I debunk the most dangerous conspiracies on the planet. Hit the link in the description and check out episode 1 Did Mossad do 9/11? You guys are going to love this new series. I debunk all the nonsense from these idiots. You're going to love it. Want to thank you guys for watching this one as always. I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching The Aaron Cohen Show.